All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm busy today. And I almost, because I was doing something else, I almost forgot about this. Hello, Richard. Thank you. Yeah, so this is an interesting time that we have here, huh? Interesting time. It's for good reason. Musicians are a little bit stressed out right now. Hello, Richard. So yeah, musicians are very stressed out right now because, and this is all over the world, by the way. I have Facebook friends in countries all over the world, and nobody is working. So I know I said a little bit about that last week, but yeah, this is a trying time for, and it's not just musicians either. There's a lot of industries that because of what's going on, and I've decided that on this channel we're not going to talk about whether people should or whether people shouldn't or whatever, whether it's good that they're doing it this way or they're bad or doing it this way. I'm not going to get into that. Yes, that's correct, Richard. We have a lot of time to practice. And Anthony asks, hope you're well. Yes, I am well. Thank you. What's your take on Skype trumpet lessons? Is it a good way to learn until this corona thing goes away? Yes, I think it's a... Okay, so let me give you the lowdown with Skype lessons, okay? If the trumpet teacher you're taking lessons with is one, and this is not a bad thing. Don't take what I'm saying as if I'm putting somebody down. I don't, as a practice, put people down, okay? Just real quick, I'm going to answer Osvaldo's question because it's a quick question. He asked me, am I still doing in-person lessons? And the answer is yes, I'm still doing in-person lessons. If there is any reason for me to stop, for example, if I get sick or if someone in the family gets sick, we will stop having. But that hasn't happened yet. And so until that happens, we will continue. Anyway, so, there's different kinds of teachers. And if the teacher you want to take lessons with is somebody that listens to you play, tells you what you're doing wrong, and that's the whole point of the lesson, is you're going in there for, what do they call that? Constructive criticism, right? And this is what you see mostly on Facebook, right? Someone will post a video and they're inviting everybody to tell them what they did wrong so that they can find out what they're going to fix. And once again, I'm not putting that kind of teaching down, okay? There's a place for that. Here's the problem. I think with Skype, when you're doing Skype, I think that's compromised just a little bit. Okay, that style of teaching is compromised in a Skype environment. For one thing, Skype will never sound as good. I shouldn't say that. I have a Skype student in Arizona, and he And I want to do the same thing, right? I want to do the same thing. I just haven't had the money yet. And with this Corona stuff, it might be a while. But he's got a Zoom that he runs through his computer. And he's got what comes through my speakers is gorgeous. It sounds great. So I guess it depends on the quality of the microphone. Going through the Zoom. So that part of it is, if you have good equipment, that part of it is not as bad. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. If the teacher is that kind of teacher, that's a huge compromise. That's a huge compromise if you don't have the equipment so that the teacher can hear how you play. Now, that's not the only thing the teacher is critiquing. So another problem is looking at posture and stuff like that. You know, I have a student in California who has a tendency to move, and when you're in Skype, I like to put the music on the screen and share the screen with the student. That way I can point at the music. I take my cursor and I shake it over the note that I want the student to look at. But that puts the student in a little picture window in the corner. And a lot of times, usually I can tell what they're playing by ear, right? My ear is good enough to know that if they play the wrong note, I know they play the wrong note. But sometimes it's like kind of off. So I want to look at the fingerings, but there's a little icon over the student's fingerings. So it's, because the when you shrink the window down, the icons don't shrink. Not so much. So the icons kind of cover up the student's fingerings. And so, yeah, if that's the style of teacher that you're practicing with, taking lessons from, then I'm not going to say it's not worth the lesson. I'm not saying that it's not worth continuing. I'm saying that those lessons are a little bit compromised by this kind of format. Now, for me, I just happen to be the kind of teacher where the Skype thing should make no difference whatsoever. It's not that I don't care how my students sound, okay? And indeed, if I was suspicious that sound was an issue, I would have the students record on another device with other equipment, not on their phone. I would have them, if I wanted to hear their real sound, I would want them to record separately, send me an MP3 of the recording. Okay? I hope that makes sense. If sound was an issue, then I would want that. But normally what I teach is how to practice. When you really get down to it, what I teach, I don't teach you how to play the trumpet. That's one of the big things, the differences between, and okay, let me reword that, because that sounds wrong. How am I going to say this? I do teach how to play the trumpet. Let me reword this, because that's not sounding right. I think that teaching how to play the trumpet is easy and should take about that much time, right? And the rest of the time should be spent. And Osvaldo can tell you, if you're still here, you can confirm to them what is most of our time spent doing. If I'm right about this, tell them that what you're learning mostly in the lesson is how to practice, right? I hope you remember that much. Osvaldo was my student, I guess, about a year and a half ago, something around there. And if he is still on here, we can maybe get him to contribute because he's had lessons with me. But yes, it's not that I don't teach you how to play the trumpet. So like if I see that your left lip is like way off in the wrong place, then I'll tell you, take your left lip and do something with it. Yes, we will do that. If the note is too short, I'll say make the note longer. That kind of teaching, that's what everybody else teaches. So Osvaldo says, yeah, it's mostly how to practice. And he says he still uses my methods. And that's the cool thing, right? When you learn from me, it's the equivalent of when you that old saying, when you give someone a man a fish, they can eat today. If you teach someone to fish, they can eat for the rest of their lives. And that's what I teach is the stuff you'll use the rest of your life. Okay? And most of that is what do you do in what order? So yeah, that's not hindered in any way with Skype lessons. Okay? That's not hindered at all with Skype lessons. So so that's and you know, I know there's a lot of different kinds of trumpet teacher. That's the kind of trumpet teacher I am, is that we're working more on how to practice. Now, there are some people that come in and take lessons, and what they really needed was someone to tell them what to do with their mouth or whatever. And those lessons, sometimes they end up getting that fixed like instantly. Right? It's not that I don't know how to teach that other way. That's why I changed what I was saying. I don't want to say that I don't teach that way. I do teach that way, but that's not all I do, and it's not the majority of what I do. Okay? So I think when you teach this way, Skype lessons have very little impact on that process. I hope that makes sense. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah. Yep, lots of time to practice. That's the thing. Maybe that's where everybody is right now. I did not do any preparatory stuff for this chat because I've been working on getting some score videos up. I've got them scheduled almost to May already. On Thursdays. A score video is when you have the music playing and you can see the score while you're watching, listening. And so here's what happened is my mom is visiting, and I kind of sort of got off track from my regular work, which is fine, you know. Osvaldo will know that about me too. I believe in this. I teach this philosophy that I call accumulative practice. I call it the art of accumulative practice. And I apply that same philosophy to my daily work, so I don't have to do the same stuff all the time. So what I decided to do, I had this list sitting. In fact, here's the list right here. Oh, I had this list sitting on my desktop of pieces that I recorded and published before I got organized. And it's a mess. These pieces, it's about 15 trumpet trios, and it's a mess. Some of them will be published here, some of them will be published over there. Well, they should be published everywhere that I publish. Some of them have videos, some of them don't have videos, and so I like it. Oh, some of them are listed on eddylewis.com. Some of them aren't listed on eddylewis.com. And so what I decided to do with this time is to get these pieces up to date. And that's what the score videos are. And since I already recorded these without video, instead of just having images in the background, I decided I would put score put the score on. That kind of helps people see better if they want to buy the music or not. And yeah, there's 15 of these trumpet trios, and ranging in difficulty from absolute beginner to almost insane professional level. So a wide range of trumpet trios here. Now speaking of Osvaldo, there is a video online that I stumbled upon of Osvaldo playing some of my trio music. So I think at a church, some sort of event at a church, and that's always a huge compliment when anybody. It's not, it doesn't matter who it is. Anyone that chooses to do my music in a performance when there's literally millions of other compositions out there. Okay, maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands for sure. So yeah, gonna add to the list. That's what I was doing, like up to the very minute before we started right now, I was still doing another video. Anyway, any other questions? There was a question that came up on one of the videos. No, it wasn't on a video. It was on Facebook, I think. Question came up that I'm making a video of, so I don't want to ruin it here. Hey, there's AC. No, I have not finished the scales yet. Sorry. Actually, I kind of forgot about it. Sorry about that. Let me write that down again. I told AC that I would record his band scales and put it out on a video. Are you going to have a lesson tomorrow, AC? Because we haven't heard back from you. So let's see here. I'll try to do that maybe after this video. So, all right. So yes, I have another question about playing in tune. And, that's one of the videos I have coming out right now, and I don't want to kind of ruin it by talking about the stuff I'm going to talk about in that video. So, I will give you a sneak peek. Okay, I'm beginning to think. Okay, I'll look in the. I'll have. Did you send it to me or did you send it to my wife? Anyway, oh, Ramo. I don't know how to say that one. Ramo. He says, "Thank you for explaining Allstate." Oh, you're the one that asked about what is Allstate. I think, right? Yeah, that's what Allstate is. He said he looked at. If it's the same person, he said he looked it up online, and all that came up was insurance. Okay, so AC, I will look that for that. So now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was going to give you a sneak peek to the tuning video. Okay, I think we get a lot of stuff wrong in music. I really do. You've heard me if you've been around. You've heard me say that music is more. You cannot separate the music from the people, right? And the more I dig deep into that, right, the more I understand. If we try to turn music into a mathematical or scientific subject, we miss the point. We are way, way, way off. And I think this is just as true with playing in tune as it is with anything else. So that's the sneak peek. I don't think that playing in tune is as nearly as mathematical as what the academic musicians like to make it sound. I really don't believe that. Here's the bottom line. If it sounds in tune to you, it's in tune. And if it does not sound in tune to you, then it is not in tune. Okay, his question is, what is the difference between trumpet and flugelhorn mouthpiece? Okay, well, if you get the wrong maker, there's no difference except for the shank, and that's not a good mouthpiece. So almost always a good flugelhorn mouthpiece should have a deep V cup. Now the shank is shorter than a trumpet mouthpiece. That's going to be a consistent difference. But I have seen trumpet flugelhorn mouthpieces that had C cups inside of them. Like, in other words, a regular trumpet cup. And maybe some people like that. Remember, you can't separate the music from the people. It's not right, it's not wrong. If somebody likes something, that's their music. That's how they play. Okay, that's what they want. Look at how far my pinky goes in to the mouthpiece. That's my flugelhorn mouthpiece. And I know looking at it this way doesn't help a lot, but I'll let you see. See, you can't really see in there, but you can tell that it's a lot deeper than this one is. It's also a lot older. This mouthpiece I've had, let me see. I bought this mouthpiece in 1990. So it is quite and I've played hundreds of gigs on this mouthpiece. This mouthpiece is more like 2 years old. So that's the main difference. A good flugelhorn mouthpiece should have a very deep cup. And they call it a V cup. So we want to have a deep V cup. Yeah, I'm going to get the scales done. Okay, very good. We'll get the scales done. Okay, so if a mouthpiece is too small, well, most people, when they say too small, okay, I think you said you live in Poland. Is that correct? Or Romania or something like that? I don't remember what it was. I know it was one of those countries over in that area. So I don't know what kind of access you guys have to buying different mouthpieces and stuff like that. I barely know anything about stores in Europe at all. But here in Houston, we have a lot of trouble buying mouthpieces because you almost have to order them. You almost have to order them. Now, what I stick to is that we want the diameter, the rim diameter, and the way we measure diameter is across this way, right? This is not how deep it is. We're talking about how wide it is. Oh, Finland. I apologize. I couldn't remember what country it was. I apologize for that. So Finland, actually, you probably have more access. You might even have more access to trumpet mouthpiece sizes than I do. Have I ever played 3C? Yes, I used to play on a 7C. You can, Anthony asked, can you use a cornet mouthpiece on a trumpet? Yes, you can if you have an adapter. They make sleeves that go over the cornet mouthpiece, and then that sleeve goes into the trumpet. I wouldn't do that unless you have like a mouthpiece you just can't live without, and you have to play it on the trumpet. Then yeah, you go get you a sleeve. But otherwise, if it's just another old mouthpiece, you might as well just get a trumpet mouthpiece. So anyway, what I was saying is with the mouthpieces, we want to have exactly the same diameter on every mouthpiece. And when we say, okay, so the size that I use the biggest sizes that I can get. And that's because of my teeth. I have 3 teeth that have corners. So it's like under my lip, I have this, right? And when I'm playing, if I push too hard, those will cut into my lip and I will start bleeding. So the bore, I don't know that we would call it a bore. The center hole is the throat. And with the throat, I suggest just keeping the stock throat. Don't try to get a different throat. Now, you might be talking about the back bore. Oh, that's probably what you mean is the back bore. And to tell you the truth, I don't mess with back bores. I know there's something to it. I've just never messed with it. What I've done is I've tried different back bores, found the one I liked, and just stuck with that. Then with the other mouthpieces that I bought since then, I just stick to whatever back bore is standard for the mouthpiece. So I haven't played with that at all. Let me look real quick and see. Okay, so AC is asking about dark sound, and dark sound comes from the depth of the cup or the shape of the cup. There can be some darkness added to the I'm looking here. So the rim, the inside diameter that we're looking at for my mouthpiece, I think is about 17.25 millimeters. That's the inside diameter. Okay, that's the size I use. Anything smaller than that, I start bleeding. Okay, so I really have to have that big size. And by the way, that's why I'm not, and I'm not ashamed of this, by the way. That's why I'm not as accurate of a player. I'm not as accurate of a player as I would like to be. And my sound is a very unique sound. And it's because I'm playing basically on equipment that's too big for me. If you want to get into the way people do this, right? What's right, what's wrong? My setup is all wrong, but it has to be wrong. My teeth dictate what I have to have. So that characteristic sound that I have when I'm playing comes from me playing on equipment that's not matching my the rest of my properties. Does that make sense? So I have to have that huge diameter, and that's, by the way, that's also why when I get up towards Super C, why the tone on my Super C sounds the way it does. Okay. And that could be also why I don't like playing those notes. I play up, over, above Super C, but I don't like playing those notes. And this might actually be part of the reason why, because I have to play on such huge equipment. Anthony says, I'm still using 7C Buck. Been using it for years. Do you need a certain mouthpiece for high notes? Because I can play high okay. No, you do not. I do believe that if you want, it depends on what your context is. If you're going to play salsa gigs, you leave the 7C. Keep that diameter of the 7C, but you want to have maybe a 7E so you can put more zing on the notes. Okay, you want to have a little bit more zing on there so that the tone is a little bit more appropriate for that kind of gig. Here's the way I do it. I always have 3 mouthpieces, right? I have a shallow mouthpiece that I use for about 80% of my gigs. Then I have a standard C-cup mouthpiece that I use for maybe, I want to say 10%, 15% of my gigs. And then I have a deep V-cup mouthpiece. Now, this is a trumpet mouthpiece. A deep V-cup trumpet mouthpiece that I'll use on about 5% of my gigs. And the way I decide which one I'm going to use is by looking at how loud the band is. If I go in and it's a big band, because big band's kind of on the edge. Either I'm going to use my shallow mouthpiece or I'm going to use the C-cup. So I'll look pretty much, if I see that it's a electric bass, I'll put in the shallow mouthpiece. If it's an upright bass, I will put in the C-cup. That's after years and years and years of experience, finally figuring that out for myself. I'm not saying that's the way anybody else should do it. That's how I do it, okay? So, but yeah, so the first gig I played my really deep V-cup, the one that I have now, was a duet gig. It was me and a French horn player. Of course I'm going to play the deep V-cup because that's going to sound gorgeous with a French horn, right? Those are the gigs. That's a great gig, isn't it? Think about that. You're going to go and get paid money to play duets with a French horn player. All right, so my flugelhorn is very old and it came without a mouthpiece. Yeah, that's okay. So you have to be careful with the mouthpiece for the flugelhorn. You have to be careful with the mouthpiece for flugelhorn because different flugelhorns have different shanks, and I'll give you an example of that. Let me pull out my other flugelhorn. Officially, this flugelhorn is for sale. But I haven't done much to try to sell it because I really do like it. You can tell I like it because I put it back away in the case when I'm done. All my other instruments stay out. So this mouthpiece, this is an American shank flugelhorn mouthpiece. This is a French shank flugelhorn mouthpieces. And they are different in length, but they're also different in taper. Okay? And this is a French flugelhorn. It's a Quinon. I don't remember I told you that the mouthpiece for me has to be bigger This is not a big mouthpiece. So when I try to play on this, um, I'm restricted on it. It doesn't play so well. Oh, I haven't played it in a little bit, so the valves are a little sticky. Yes, so there's also a German shank. So there's three different shanks when you order a mouthpiece. So you want to make sure that it's a German shank. Now that sounds all right, but I couldn't play a gig on that because of what it does to my lips, right? If I put this shank in, this mouthpiece in, it hardly goes in because it flares out too quickly. Now I like the sound better on this one, and my plan is, once again, this virus thing has set this plan back a little bit. I want to get, this is a FLX, 2 FLX from Warburton, and I want to get a 2 FLX again from, I don't think they have the same numbers anymore, but something equivalent with the French shank, so I can have my mouthpiece on this horn. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, now why don't I just use this one? It goes in there, right? It goes in there. It's gonna play out of tune, and that's unacceptable. It's what it does is it compresses or expands the octaves. So, and in other words, high notes will become flat and low notes sharp, or vice versa. Low notes are flat and high notes are sharp. That's why we have to make sure the mouthpiece matches. Okay, because of that kind of stuff. All right. So I hope that makes sense. That's something I need to get taken care of. That's one of the reasons why that thing stays in the case, is because I don't really have a mouthpiece for it. So AC says, I've heard a lot recently that your tone matters with time. And so practicing for matures. Well, I'm sorry. Your tone matures with time, so practicing 3 to 4 hours a day isn't bad, but isn't necessarily good. Do you agree? 3 to 4 hours a day is okay if you follow the resting rules. And I wouldn't do that. And part of following the resting rules is to do that only 2 days a week. Okay? Only 2 days a week. I'm going to post, in case you're not familiar with it, I'm going to post a video link. This is the video I did about the 3 levels of rest. Okay, I just posted it. Right. So he says, Ramo says, I have a Severic trumpet mouthpiece and I have a used trombone mouthpiece. It works, but no high notes. That's right. So, yeah, I think your best bet right now is to buy, depending on the brand, because different brands have different numbers, but we're usually looking for a 1. So, in this case, the Warburton numbers, the 2 is actually the size of a 1. Okay, so this is actually a pretty big mouthpiece going around those 3 corners, and so But with other companies, I think you have to either get a 1 or a 2 to get that size big enough so that you can get your lip in there. So I see on the previous comment that you made that you had lower lip cut and cancer surgery. You know, I had a friend who had a cyst on his lip. And I know that's not the same thing, but he had like a piece of his lip that wouldn't vibrate. And he had this routine that he figured out, that playing short bursts of loud notes, short bursts, right? So you're not just playing loud, just loud, but short bursts of loud notes would help. I don't know what it was, sort of like massage that hard tissue. So here's an actual exercise he used to do. He would do thirds, but only up for a fifth. And he would flare that last note. Everybody thought he was joking. Everybody thought he was joking. He would do it up in half steps. And he would do that. His name was Buddy Cisco. He passed away, I guess, about 3 or 4 years ago. And he would do that. And he told me, I interviewed him once, and he said he did that so that hard tissue on his lip would soften up so that he could play. And that's something, I'm not saying you should do that. I'm saying, you know, he found something that worked for him. He had a problem spot on his lip, and he had to work his way through that, and he did. My B flat trumpet here is a Bach 72. I played on a 25 for a long time. This is a Bach 72 with the reverse pipe. So some of you might be wondering where my Pudgy is. My Pudgy is gonna go to the shop because one of the welds came off. So, and I don't want to play it until I get that fixed. But once I get it fixed, I will start recording on it again and all that. I love the way that horn plays. It's got my name all over it. That's the first thing I said when I played on the horn. I said, this has my name all over it. It's, you know, the Pudgy sounds almost like a flumpet. Really, it plays just like a flumpet. So yeah, this is a Bach. Any other questions? Let me ask you guys some questions. How are you guys coping with this virus stuff? Huh? What are you guys doing? Do I ever forget any of my skills? So here's the thing. Because of the tonalization studies that I do, I will never, ever, so I shouldn't talk like that, because we don't know what tomorrow brings, right? But no, typically I don't forget my skills. When you learn the tonalization studies, you don't have problems with your scales. And that's one of the things that we're going to do with AC in his lesson, okay, is we're going to talk about the tonalization studies, okay? There's 2 books that I have that help with scales, and one of them is the tonalization studies. So is it just, he says in Finland, seniors like him has to stay inside. So what about the rest of the people? Are you guys don't have what we're calling here a lockdown? That makes sense to me that the seniors, you would think like for your own health, that you just wouldn't for a while want to be where all the germs are, How about the rest of you? What are you guys doing with this virus stuff? And you know, what's what's the impact that it's having on your livelihood? Okay, you're kind of locked down. Yeah. So here in Houston, we're not officially locked down, but they're discouraging people from going out. Oh, okay. So, is your summer cottage by the water? That's beautiful land over there, isn't it? I've seen some videos, and it's just gorgeous over there. Right, Anthony's in Houston. So Anthony knows what I'm experiencing. AC says it doesn't affect him too much because he's already already a homeboy outside of going to school. Yeah, for me that's kind of the same thing, right? Aside from uh, gigs, yeah. So Finland is. Are you saying Finland is nice and quiet, or your cottage? Probably your cottage. Yeah. So so right now things are the the work for me right now is pretty much business as usual, um, except that my mom is visiting and we are um, doing things a little bit different. We are doing things a little bit different from what we would normally do, which is nice. I'm not complaining. I'm not don't want to make it sound like that. But yeah, this is a nice um, visit with my mom. So okay, schools are closed. I understand some of the musicians. Community band had to cancel their spring concert. There's a lot of that, Anthony. There's a whole bunch of that. All of my gigs got canceled. I have one gig left in the books for April 16th, but I'm sure that's just not going to make it. I'm sure that gig won't make it because that's in a country club. Osvaldo says they're giving us at his job more hours because of all this. Okay, well, lucky you. But I've gotten more time to practice and spend time with his parents. Yeah, see? We can look at the good side of all of this. Canceled band trip. Oh, that's not fun. AC says all of our end of year concert band competitions are canceled. Yeah, we can expect that. And the rehearsals. Oh yeah, I can. The community band stuff is such a community, right? I'm thinking like, what am I thinking? Yeah, it's a nice close knit community. You've got, and I can imagine how fun that is. I don't know which one you're in, Anthony. When I first came here, I used to play in the orchestras, and I even did. So I did concerts over on the west side. I did concerts here and there, and Then I just had to stop. But I remember exactly. It was fun, and that's the problem, right? Is this is not what I do for fun, and I had to stop. Right? It's not because it wasn't good enough for me, but you get caught up in doing this for fun, and then you're not making money, and then you know, um, right? Meetings are limited to 10 people. Yeah, really, going on until fall. Now that would be not so good. That would be. I'm right now where I'm at right now. I'm just sitting back and looking at how this thing progresses because I want to see. We've got some ideas and things we want to do and stuff like that. But um, so like I said, for the most part, we're not doing much of anything different from what we normally do. Except that I don't have any gigs. The lessons are still going, and I work. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. We get up and we run in the morning. Um, we get up and run in the morning, and then I get straight to work. I'll compose a little bit first, then I'll do some emails and stuff like that. But I'm working all day, almost every day. I take Sundays off, and um, and most of that's here at home. I do take breaks, like if we need to go to the store, we go to the store, and that would be the break, right? And it's been interesting, right? Lately, going to the store to see. I'm actually surprised because the stores here aren't out of stuff. They were for like 2 days, and then they got all caught back up again. Cypress Symphony Community Band. Hey, that's okay. Yeah. I think somebody I know is the conductor of that. I forget her name, but it's a woman, right? Uh, Someone that my ex-wife used to hang out with, probably still does. If it's the same woman, and I only say this because she's friends with somebody else and was at a concert that I was at, and I heard her talking to another friend about the season, and I think she was the conductor. When is the next Q&A session? Next Q&A is a week from today. We try to do them on Fridays, and since now there's no gigs, it will be next Friday. Okay, so we have them. We have them 5 o'clock Houston time on Friday afternoons, unless I have a gig or something else that has to get in the way. I don't promise to be here every Friday, but when we do have it, this is the time we have it. Okay, so this is midnight there. Okay. Oh, you're in Helsinki. I mean, you're. Okay. Good night, Ramo. I hope I'm saying your name right. Trucks are coming in every night and through the day. What trucks are you talking about, Osvaldo? The trucks are coming. Oh, you're talking about the grocery stores because we were talking earlier about grocery stores. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Any other questions? So if there's no questions, we're gonna have dinner. Okay. Well, I hope all of you stay safe and safe from the virus. I mean, yeah, for the stores. You know, went to Bucky's yesterday. Bucky's is like a convenience store that's out on the roads, and and I asked the cashier. I said, are you staying safe? And I was talking about the virus, and she goes, oh yeah, she laughed and she's talking about how some crazy people come to Bucky sometimes. I'm like, that's not what I was talking about. Um, some people just don't really care about all this, and that's what I said was not going to get into in this video. Let's leave that alone, because it doesn't matter how you think about it one way or the other. It doesn't matter. Things are the way they are, and what you should be thinking about is what you're going to do about it. I hope that makes sense. Because a lot of the musicians are complaining about a lot of stuff, and that's not going to help anything. Okay, I think what's better, what's most important right now is that we keep our heads straight, our hearts in the right place, and we have to be for the people who are stressed out and panicking and stuff like that. We have to be the calm, level-headed ones that help keep their lives less insane, right? help. We need to be the ones helping people stay calm. So, but anyway, I won't go more into that. Yes, I'll do those skills. It might be 2 tomorrow. We'll see. I'm gonna eat first right now, and then we'll see from there. All right. Okay, guys. Great to see you guys. Um, uh, Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. God bless you. Have a great week. Bye.